Hello, good evening.
Good evening to you. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, madam. How are you today?
Fine, thank you. And you?
I'm doing great. Okay, this is it's 7 already, so it's best to start. So, how many of us we are here? We are 4 people, including myself. Um, okay, so I'm going to share my screen. Um, I think we should still expect others. Um, and, I should be expecting like 14 people. Okay, today is just going to be more of an introduction section. And as you can see, our classes would be recorded. It's for the sake of revisiting every single one of the sessions to practice anytime at own convenience. And I think I already shared a slide. I already shared a slide for some of the things that we would be discussing about. Okay, we have 6 people. Let's see if we can get like 2 more, then we'll start fully. So like I said, today is just going to be about introductions, just more of introductions, getting us familiar with everything as regard user interface designing and user experience. Okay, still have 6 people. I'm hoping to get 2 more person, and I would gladly start. Okay. Why are you jumping? We have 7. 1 more person, and we would start. My name is Tosin Oluwatosin, actually. Most people know me as Tosin Pax. I am a product designer and a UX engineer. So I talk, I design, and I write codes. And I've been into tech for the past 9 years. So today I would be training us on UI UX design, and I would be the one to handle every single one of our training from the very beginning to the end of it. And of course, our goal is always to ensure that we get that dream jobs that all each and every one of us are dreaming about, that have been wanting to get. Yeah, none of these things are always very easy, but the truth of the matter is we would always get it. Definitely, we would always get it. And there are a lot of skills out there in tech, a lot of skills. And one thing about tech is the skills don't die. They never dies. What dies are the tools, the technologies that are used to execute those skills. And the reason is because there are a lot of competitions around those tools. So as a designer, the kind of gone are those times Corel Draw was the best. When you see any designer, you see Corel Draw, but now it's Photoshop, it's Illustrator. People still use Corel Draw. I use Corel Draw, but the job requirement for designers now is more than that. They need the Photoshop, they need this, they need that. That is to tell us that graphic design has been in existence for a very long time and it will continue to stay, but the tools would always change. So the only thing that we just need to get familiar with is understanding the skill. So which means by the time you pick a new tool, a new technology, it will be very, very easy for you to handle because you already have the skill. So that was why the whole designing thing was very easy for me. I started as a graphics designer. I used CorelDRAW to design flyers and banners and the like. And later I went into web development. So I built web applications. And from there, I stayed on front-end development and I did mobile engineering. But at that point, I wasn't doing back-end. So recently, 2 years ago, I went into UI and UX and certifications as well to back it up. And what made it very easy to transition and then combine all of the skills together is because of the fact that the skill is actually there. So the skill is what we need to build up on. So once you get the skill, handling the tools are very, very, very easy. So our training is going to be eight virtual classes, and the rest of it would now be practicals. We have a community where we have a lot of over 100 people that are trained. Everybody are all together. By the time we finish our virtual training, I will connect you to that session so you can join them, and we build up a design community. And our goal is to ensure that everybody gets the best treats, and not just the best treats. Want to ensure that every year at least we get over 50 people a job in tech every year, remotely, of course. Remotely. Working remotely is very, very amazing. And if you can't do remotely, you do freelance or you just do the hybrid, the usual hybrid full-time kind. That has always been our goal, and that is why we are here, and definitely that is what we're going to get. Okay, so I usually mute by default because the class is recorded. So if we have too many background noise, it's very difficult to study. So if you have questions, you can just drop it in the chat section right here on Zoom, and I will definitely answer. So we don't have to wait till the end of the session before I start answering questions. So if there are any questions, you can just drop it in the chat section and I'll be happy to answer. But of course, by the time we stop on several intervals, I would allow questions. I will give access to unmute, and then we ask questions, then I will mute again and we'll continue. So that is how the class goes. And when our practical starts, I would always give room for some of us who would like to share the screen. Maybe they're trying to design something and you experience little issues and you would like me to put you through. So instead of me sharing my own screen and telling you what to do, you would share your own screen, then I will just put you through that process. But that would start when we start our practical. So I'll give access, you share your screen, then I'll put you through every single one of it. So today we will talk about UI and UX, introduction to design. And don't forget, design is not about making things beautiful just for the sake of it. Design is way more than that. And as a UI UX designer, especially as a UX person, our job majorly does not really cover much of designing. There's more than that. So we have several design types, but this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 skill are the most general skill that many of us would have heard of. I don't know, do we have any designers here? Have you designed something, even if it's on Canva? Do we have anybody that has designed something? You can just drop it in the chat section. Let me know if you are a designer, or maybe you've done anything UI UX before, you've used any UI tools before, any of those things in general. Let me know. Just drop a comment in the chat section. I would be happy to read it. Okay, design types. We have the product design. The product design is a combination of the UI and the UX, and then the ability to the project management ability. So all of these things combined. So you have to better understand how you want to do the products. You want to put a product out there to the market, and then you have to ensure the progress, the success of the product. So product design is combination of those three. And okay, people are dropping charts. And design using Canva. Does Canva count? If not, no, of course, Canva counts. When Canva started, Canva was not really much of a design tool, but now when during there was a physical class today, when I was taking physical class, we had to, most of them were not really familiar with Canva. So I just had to open it up and show them some things. And Canva is very amazing. Canva is, I wouldn't call it a design tool. I'll call it an entrepreneur tool, because you can easily get a lot of things done. You could do a lot of things, especially for social media management. If you're trying to manage your own social media profile, Canva is the best place for you. And even Canva designs website now. But the only thing is, it's only focused more on landing page designing. There are no interactions, much of interactions yet. Just that little landing page thing. So which means if you are doing a landing page, you use Canva. So Canva is okay to network went off just now. Oh, I'm back. So when you say graphic design in general, we talk about a lot of design features. But as a designer these days now, the company is now trying to break down all of these design skills. So that is where we now have all of them in different ways. So if you look at motion graphics design is somehow close to the job of a graphics designer. So as a motion designer, you still tend to, you call yourself a graphic designer, they'll believe you are into animations and you do a lot of things related to that. But the reason why we now call graphic design visual designers, because they would only deal with visual representations using shapes and lines and all of that to represent our designs. So all of these design fields are the latest trend in the design sections, latest trend in the design sections. Now we have the motion graphics design. They are the ones that deal with the animations. You see, image animations. They are the one that deal with every single one of those. Diana, what is going on? This Then we have, there's something going on here. Then we have the industrial designers. The industrial designers are the one, they are the designers that actually work on a physical product because they need to make a sketch. I don't think we have industrial designs in, that's it, companies that hire industrial designers. I don't think so. I doubt. Do we have anybody who knows anyone that, I don't think so, that do industrial designs? Because industrial design is more of a physical building of a physical product. So it could be a gadget, electronic gadget, because for every physical product that you see out there, someone had to design every single one of them. So all of these things are the job of an industrial designer. Then we have interaction designers. Interaction design is part of what we will be doing as regard UI and UX, which is like very important, most important part of our job. I could say UI UX combined interaction will be like 40, like 40% of the entire classes. So which means that by the time we go deeper into our practical, you see a lot of interaction design tasks. Okay, which now brings us to the UI and the UX. But before then, I would touch game designing. I'm sure we already know what game design is all about. Game designers are really making a lot of money because it's not easy to even say you want to build up a game from ground up. It's a lot. It takes a lot. It's a lot. But I don't think I've seen companies, startups that are actually going into the gaming industry in Nigeria, but it's very difficult to say we want to jump into such technology in the Nigerian market, except if they have a way to deal with the piracy thing and all of that. I think that would have been the only thing, but which I'm not so sure it could be fixed. I don't know. It could be fixed, but I have no idea how that can be fixed because that would have been one major thing that would affect the gaming industry in Nigeria. Even the film industry are still struggling. Imagine someone spending a lot trying to put a movie out there and the movie eventually launched. Then we just went ahead to, just went to, what's the name of this site? In fact, um, I've forgotten the name of the site. Net Ninja. We just go there and download it. All those downloadings, even downloading of music, it's somewhat illegal. Downloading of music is somewhat illegal. You're supposed to be listening to your music online, but we are Nigerians. Why would you be paying to listen to music? Well, I pay to listen to my own music, shall watch movies. We're just trying to be a good citizen. So it's how the system is here. That's why it's like that. But that is why some of these tech companies cannot really last. That even in game designing, there is a sports now, EA Sports. I talked about it during the physical class today. EA Sports is like a normal kind of a normal sports game that we play, a normal typical sport, but they play games like they are like 5 to 6 in one team, individual team. Then all they just have to do is they sit with their laptop and then they start playing game like a competition. But that kind of a games are always like a virtual. We are struggling with data here in Nigeria, and we want to try and put in that kind of a business model. imagine how imagine you try to, you have an organization that wants to actually invest in such thing. And before you can, like just this others Project Fame, Nigerian Idol, Got So you have to sign up on the platform. There is a game you have to play. Like you compete, maybe you and computer, if you're able, or you and someone. They just pay you like an action game, normal action game. Then the only way they could record all of the activities is if the entire thing is virtual. So which means it has to be completely online, so they can actually monitor every single thing. Then you did like maybe 10 gig just to play a video game, and then while continuing your data just finished. Like what I'm experiencing right now, that the data will just, it's on there is enough data, but the network will just you can even experience network issue or maybe light issue. The laptop will just power up. Like and then you've lost the competition like that. So there are some kind of things that you can't really fit in this our current country. I'm saying current because I'm still hoping that things will get better in our country. I hope, I believe. Yeah. Okay, so these are the top most general design skills out there, and I think the only ones that are not really trending in Nigeria is the industrial design and game design. So as a Nigerian, if you really want to consider this, and it's going to take a while, but the most perfect way to easily do, let's say you're doing industrial design, you might have to pair yourself with an international community that are into industrial design. So when you get familiar with that, they would not consider the fact that you're in Nigeria. Because it's not that they don't want to hire in Nigerian. They know that these things are not in Nigeria. There are no companies or firm that are into industrial design in Nigeria. So they would feel like, how would you build up on your skill in terms of the experience when even in your country, they don't even offer it? So you get what I'm saying? They love to hire Nigerians in terms of tech. Like they love to hire us. We are German machine. No, sorry, we are Nigerian machine. But because industrial, just like the game designing too, I think I know a lot of Nigerians game designers that are doing great. Nigerians are very good when it comes to animation, and let alone the game. So only the white people that we have to like do business with. So user experience design. This is where the entire work starts. UX simply applies to how a person feels about using a product. You see, once I want to explain UX and I read this first sentence, that's the end. Like that's everything that we need to know as regard user experience. It's just about how a person feels about a product, and that's it. Using the product, how do they feel about it? Do they like using it? Do they find it very easy to use? Was it pleasing in terms of was it so attractive, Was the product very difficult to use? How easy was it? Do you like it? We just want to ensure that we are giving them a satisfactory services, because you cannot satisfy a customer. But then we need to make sure that the product achieve its aim. The moment that product gets into the hand of the customer, it achieves its aim. Well, of course, customers would always complain. They will always complain. But then the moment a customer is given a product a 5-star rating, nothing else matters. Like they may have their own complaints, but then they will still give you 5-star that, yeah, the product is great. That is all we need. And that is, as a UX person, that is our job. We just have to ensure that this product gets a 5-star rating by the time it gets to the consumer. That is majorly our job. User experience was first coined by Don Norman in 1995, while he was the vice president of Apple. Now, John Norman said, I invented the term because I thought human interface and usability were too narrow. I wanted to cover all aspects of the person's experience with a system, including the industrial design, the graphics, the interface, the physical interaction, and the manual. So all of these things makes us to better understand that as a UX person, our job is to do lots and lots of research in trying to ensure that this product we're actually building would suit the user, and not just suit the user, would fit in the need of the user. We know, of course, we know they want it, but then everybody have several things that they want. And part of the job that we do in terms of our research, we do surveys. And the purpose of the surveying is to actually identify our markets and also to understand who our audience are. And then try to figure out what they really want. So that is one of those things that help us better understand the users, which are the customer. UX design is the process the design teams use to create products that provide meaningful and relevant experiences to users. UX design involves the design of the entire process of acquiring and integrating the product, including aspects of branding, design, usability, and function. So UX in general, it involves design, but it is not mostly design. But before you get to the design stage, you need to still follow through a lot of things, which involves trying to do a market research, trying to do a user research, trying to do competitive analysis, trying to basically understand what is going on out there. You know the product better than anyone else. So now it's our job as a UX person, because we know the product much well. It's our job to eradicate any form of problems that the product may encounter the moment it gets to the market. So they call UX designers the CEO of a product because it's a very serious job. It's a very broad task, very, very broad, much more than the job of a UI person. So we have UX basics. These are the 6 basic things that we need to consider when we want to build a product in UX. Number 1 is the usefulness of the product. Should the product be original? The product to be original and fulfill a need. So can you see all of these things now? And that involves that we have to ensure that what we are putting out there to the market is something our users would enjoy to do. Yeah, I got this thing and it does exactly what I wanted to do. In fact, in a perfect way. That's exactly what we want. That's exactly what we want to hear. We cannot satisfy them, of course. They will still be expecting more. But then we were able to ensure that whatever they want to do with that product, either physical or digital, it was a satisfactory process. It was a satisfactory experience. That is basically what we do. Usability, the site must be easy to use. Now, it could be a product, a physical product, or a digital product in the sense that either a website or a mobile application or a software. Or physical can be any kind of a physical product, because as a UX person, you tend to work in any organization, because every organization or a company out there, they either deal with a product or they render a services. But whatever they do, they are actually trying to put something out there. And the only way they could make profit and bring in revenue is by actually having customers to patronize. Now, if your customer is patronizing, there is something you are giving out. Whatever you are giving out is where the UX person comes in. We have to make sure that whatever the company is giving out to the customer and the customer are paying back for it, we have to ensure that the customer continue to come back and not go to another brand or go to another company. They would always come for more. Then the third one is the desirability. That is where the beauty of the product, the first impression lasts longer. When you see a product, you get it becomes very attractive and you just fall in love with the product. And the next thing is, yeah, you really want it all. You love the product and you just want to have more fun with it. So the desirability is very, very important. It's very, very, very important. And the next one is the findability. The findability. The findability, content needs to be navigable and locatable on-site and off-site. This mostly work on mostly digital product. But sometimes I could still categorize it in a physical product, because imagine you buying a physical product. Let's say you bought a smart TV. Of course, The first thing you need to do, there's some kind of smart TV out there that they still have a power button right there that you still have to click. And there's some that they don't, which means you have to do everything on the remote. So let's say you just bought it, then you plugged it. You already have two options. Number one is either there is a button there that you need to power to make it work by default, or the moment you plug it in, it just works. Then you have to use your remote to start operating. Now, imagine you bought it and then there was no power button and you tried the remote, nothing was happening. You get confused and then you'll be like, what exactly is going on? Am I missing something? Am I doing it in a wrong way? What is it? You just want to and the moment we humans, we're trying to use something that is not a human like us, it's actually a machine. We get really frustrated when we find it difficult to use. You just abandon it. Then the interest that you've once had when you wanted to buy it, you just lose everything. And that is because whoever is building the product forgot that there is a standard that needs to be followed. And those standards, everybody knows that when you buy a phone, the power button is always at the right hand side, except for some phones now that I think their power button is at the bottom of the screen. I don't know. Well, everybody knows that is where it is. So, and then it becomes, imagine they change the position. If they change the position, they have to let people be aware of it so that when you pick it, you will not find it difficult to use. So, and when you pick a phone, there are icons that represent every single thing that you do. So all those things are the actual normal standard. So even if they want to upgrade in terms of technology, they will still have to follow through those standards and ensure that when users are buying it, they don't find it difficult to use. So just like the TV that I was explaining now, let's say the only way to power it on is to double click on the screen. You just do a double tap, like a soft double tap. Don't do like hard tap, like a soft double tap, then it powers on. They would need to at least notify you. Maybe they do a very broad, big for me, I don't read manuals. I don't think I've ever read manuals. I've never read manuals. Do we have people that still read manuals? Manuals are so boring to read. But even they have improved on those manuals these days. Do we have people that still read manuals? Any that reads manuals? Drop a chat section. Do you read manuals? I want to know. Manuals are so very boring to read. But I think they've improved on their manuals lately. So what they do is they make sure that it gets very easy, and they use image representations where they will just do like a chart of how the whole thing. Let's say you're buying something that you have to dismantle, then you have to rearrange again. Yeah, they would scatter, those ones, they just do like an image representation just so you can easily understand how it works. Oh, you read manuals? Wow. That's amazing. Me, I don't read manuals. The worst part is when it gets difficult, I have to go to YouTube and then start looking for how to use it. My dad bought what do I call it? It's like a musical recording thing. I forgot what they call it. So he found it difficult to use. So I had to go online to check for a video. I saw a video of someone using it, but the person didn't really explain from the beginning. So and I wasn't a music person. It was very difficult and very challenging. So it took me a while to actually figure it out, and which shouldn't be. So I was just telling him that if I was the one, I didn't mean this product is mine. If I was the one that owned this product, God knows I would have just packaged it back and just keep it somewhere. And I might end up dashing it out because I don't like anything that will stress me. So even there was a manual that the manual was like about 30 pages, and it was so difficult to read for me because I don't understand it. So a product is not supposed to put our customers in a very difficult position. In a very difficult position. We shouldn't. at all. Never, like never. It should never stress them. They should be able to pick the products and enjoy it and find it very easy to use. And the next thing is the accessibility. The product needs to be accessible with people, accessible to people with disabilities. But now this is dependent on the kind of a product that you're putting to the market. So it depends. And when you say with disabilities, you can say people that has eye problems or people which other disabilities. I say, I don't know. That's the only thing I could even think of right now. So all of this is still dependent on. Okay, let me use the eye problem as an example. I think that's the only thing I could think of because that's the only natural disaster I have. So there's no way I can be using a laptop every day and not have eye problem issues. So now, for the fact that I have an eye problem, I cannot use an app with a very tiny text. I'll just drop it or anything that is very difficult to read, So for that kind of a thing, I would always like something very bold. So now let's say a product was built and the text maybe there's a text I need to read or something, and then it was very tiny. Now I have to strain my eye. And when I'm trying to strain my eye, I still could not get it. I just get frustrated. And the moment a product gets a customer frustrated, that's it. You see, there's several ways at which a company can market a product. But you see, word of mouth goes a long way. Goes a long way because the funny thing is, once someone out there complain about a product, you just see that people will just continue on and then start saying the same thing and then start giving their own story as regard the product, especially on Twitter. Now, as a UX designer, sometimes we use Twitter to get a lot of reviews about products because people would complain. And when people drop a complaint, that is when another people will just start saying a lot of things. Then it goes on and on. Then someone else will join, look at how far it's going. Then the person will just drop their own updates. Then someone else who joins. And it goes on and on. So that kind of a platform is the best place to even get a lot of complaints as regard a particular product. Whatever product you are working on, provided the product is out there and they use a Twitter profile, people would always comment about them. Like always comment about such product. So the last part is the credibility. Users must trust and believe what you tell them. So if you're telling them that if you are buying our juice manual blender, it will blend your fruits so smooth. By the time they buy it, it has to do exactly what we want it to do. Otherwise, they will give us a bad review. And when they give us a bad review, it's not helpful for the brand. It would not help the brand. So this now brings us to user interface design. So I've briefly explained UX design. Do we have any question? Do we have any question before I go into UI? So I've briefly explained what UX is. I think by now we already understand what user experience is all about. Then now we will go into user interface design, that is UI design. Okay, in the absence of no question, what is UI design? What is UI design? Any question before I proceed? Any question? Okay. That's not a problem. It's not a problem at all. What I would do is, explaining in a theoretical sense would not be enough. So by the time we start doing the whole practical thing, see, everything as regard UI and UX design generally, aside from, okay, let me put it this way, aside from UI design, UX itself, UX alone now, it's not about having a tech skill. UX has nothing to do with any technical related thing. It's just about deep thinking. So you imagine, take the product like it's yours. So, and you don't want your product to get to the market there and then it will just crash. So imagine putting a product out there and then you realize the product, as great as the product is, it didn't even fit in the Nigerian markets, there were a lot of people using it as a scam. Automatically, the product would have to shut down. So once the product shuts down, boom, they lose a lot of money. So for all of these things not to happen, that is why we UX designers would have to look into it. And UI is just about designing. So user interface design is the process designers use to build interface in software or computerized design devices, focusing on looks or style. So UI is just about the designing. So that is where it will now look more like a tech kind of a thing. So that was I was asking if anyone has a Canva design skill. So once you have a design ability, it gets very quick for you to learn to design. But none of that does not matter. You don't need to be a designer before you can learn UI designing. And it's even the tools we use for UI designing are completely different and they are less stressful. Most of all this, the whole stressful design part has been done for us. There are a lot of components out there that we can pick to actually build things. The only thing that we just need is our own ability and then our own creative thinking and design thinking. Okay, someone said UX to me sounds more like marketing. Closely, because if we as a UX person were able to do research and then we're able to identify what the audience wants, we literally already have a data to prove that they're actually an existing market. So it's more like we've reduced the effort of the marketer. So they know where the target audience are. They know who to target. To save them a lot of stress. So if we do a thorough UX on the products, then the marketer now comes in and it did not bring in good deals, then the person is not a professional because we've literally showed them a bit of every single thing that they need to do. So we are like the client brought a product. I want to build these things and I want to put this in the market there. There are some clients, they don't know a lot about these things, how these things operate and all of that. Then we are the ones that now come in and be like, this is how to go. So we are the one that would tell the client, it is either we realize this product cannot fit into this market, or we have to tell the client, okay, this is the better way to do it. So there are times that I've once had a product like that the client wants to work on. I think that was 2 years ago. And having done my research, I realized I just had to just jump on a meeting with him and I make him understand this thing cannot fit into the Nigerian market. It's a perfect product. It's amazing. But the reason why I couldn't fit into the Nigerian market is because the product is giving much more opportunity to a particular set of markets and is bringing in less for the company. So I was like, if you at the long run get an investor, investors would not want to invest in such product. And even if they would agree to invest, they will change your entire procedure. And once they change your entire procedure, your markets will reduce. Then it will now be focused on a certain number again. So all of those things, you can see it's part of our own job to actually understand what works and what can never work in a particular market. So all of these things are the job of the UX designer. Okay, so the UI is still all about the designing. Is about building interfaces, focusing on stylings and interactions. So we have to design all those mobile applications, those websites, this Facebook, the Instagram that we play with, the LinkedIn, all those, even the Zoom that we're using right now. The UI designers designed all the entire interface. And the reason for designing is just so we can have an end view. We can have a copy, a sample, like a prototype, a structure of how we want our product to look like before it goes into production. And at the stage of the UI is when most companies do awareness on their products. Because at that point in time, they've seen how the product will look like. Then they just go deeper and then start reproducing and then start putting products in the market. So I will just briefly explain the differences between these two so we can better understand their differences. UI versus UX, because they are not the same. They work hand in hand because after the UX, something has to come in place. And that is why they work hand in hand. But before I explain this, remember I once talked about game design and I once talked about industrial design. Now, as an industrial designer, if as a UX designer rather, if you find yourself in a company that produces physical products, you'll be working hand in hand with an industrial designer. Because as a UX person, you need to envision every single thing that is regarding the product before the industrial designer designs. Even in game, they use UX person because the product is going to be used by a user. So we are the ones that would tell them, we are like, what do I used to call? There's the name I used to call, we're like the prophet and prophetess of it. Nice. That's a good that's a good way to actually explain this. We foresee and we foretell the future of the product. I know our job does not end on the whole preparation of getting the product to the market. Once the product gets to the market, that is where our real job starts, because we have to ensure that everything are going fine. You see, those reviews that the customers would have to give, the complaints, all of those things are what we would have to deal with. The reviews, every single one of them are what we have to deal with. And we would have to find a way to always improve on it. So differences between the UX and the UI. UX, the human first approach to product design. And then that is UX, the UI, human first approach to designing the aesthetic experience of a product. Aesthetic experience in the terms of the beauty, the attractiveness of the product. Now, if you see under the application for UX, you can see physical and digital products. So which means that a UX person, you can work in any organization. Like in the kind of remote jobs that offers I usually see, they are mostly UX, because UX is very broad. And the truth of the matter as regards UX is you just need to understand the UX principles and the process that you need to follow to solve an actual UX process. That is all. UX is all about researching and thinking. Now imagine, let me put it this way. Imagine you change the environment, you change the apartment, or maybe you just got a new house. This is a new year now. Everybody can buy a new house. God still works wonders. Yeah, you just moved into a new apartment and you feel as if, okay, the former apartment, the way you arranged your house, the chairs, the TVs, the positioning was different. You never liked that. Now you're in a new apartment and it's so big, bigger than the one you were previously, and you want to rearrange. How do you rearrange? You see, those moments that you have to spend and trying to think deeply, trying to look for a perfect way to do it. And sometimes when you now decide, okay, let me put this TV here, maybe someone comes in, maybe the wife or the husband just comes in and okay, why not just put this one here? And then you do what? You shift it there and like, wow, this looks nice. So now you see those moments that the both of you or every one of you spent in trying to ensure that this thing is completely and is well arranged. It's similar to the time you would have to spend when you are working on a product. So now that is to prove to you that as a UX person, you would not be working alone on the product, because your knowledge alone is not enough to actually build a perfect product. You need to actually do lots and lots of research. Now, imagine you are the only one working on the product. The thing you have to do is you have to now find people that you could talk to. Now, who are these people that you have to talk to? Let's say, what kind of product? Can I use an example? Let's say you are working on an online store product like the Jumia and the Konga, and you're the only UX person working on the product. Of course, you know what Jumia do and you know what Konga do and the like. Basically, you understand e-commerce. But then your knowledge is still limited compared to someone who is actually into the e-commerce business. Now, you are a UX designer. You understand e-commerce because you buy stuff. But compared to someone that actually works in an e-commerce company, they have deeper knowledge than us. It is just like comparing ourselves as a tech person, because we build banking app. We now want to compare ourselves to those who are actually working in the bank. They understand how the bank operates more than us. We only understand, okay, this is what we want to build. So now, going back to the e-commerce things, if you now want to expand in your knowledge, in your research, you need to bring in someone, like talk to someone that is working in such sector. You need to actually talk to that kind of a person. They are the ones that will give you the the informations, the knowledge from their own experience, the way they operate. It's not as if you're actually doing an interview with them. It's just like a normal conversation. You just want to understand what is going on. It's a kind of a, because we're not a journalist, so we're not doing an interview. So the kind of questions, you just find yourself in such conversations. If you have friends that are into it, if you have people, you can even pay the person. Okay, you're working on the product, it's an online store, and you feel you just want to like you needed his help. Then you just prepare your questions. So that way you better understand how they actually operate. So that way you understand even if you're not the kind of person that would like to talk to people. If you go online, there's a lot of bloggers that write about all these things. Even on YouTube, there are a lot of people that talks about the secrets on how all these companies operate. So those things too are perfect way. So another person that you can bring on board that you can ask few questions for are the non-technical people. The people that are not into tech, they're not into even the sector of the product you're working on. They're just there. Like they have their own life, they have their own product, they have their own business, they have their own thing they do. So that kind of a person, people like that too, they are, I could call them a customer. They are people who use all these things. So you could bring in this set of people to actually help you better your product because your own knowledge will be limited. You need to expand. But if you cannot talk to people, the internet is there. You would definitely see and get a lot of information online. You would read blogs, you see research in UX takes a very long time because you need to really ensure you understand the product itself, even before you want to start understanding what the user itself wants, let alone understanding the market. It is very, very, very important. Okay, so I was talked about the application. Please let me know if you have any question. So now under the focus, we have for UX, we have the full experience from a user's first contact to the last. And under UI, we have visual touch point that allows users to interact with the product. So at this point, you can easily understand that UX is about doing research just so you could give the user a great experience. Then the UI is about designing a beautiful product. Experience and design. That's the difference between these two guys. Experience, design. So this is another way you can better understand UX. The image on the right, this is a ketchup bottle, a ketchup product. The image on the left was the initial ketchup design. It was in a bottle that could fall down and break. And if you are the type that use ketchup very well, you could know that it was very difficult to use, whereby you have to like turn it upside down and you shake it, you beat it before the ketchup itself comes out. And it's so frustrating and stressful. Then the one on the right, they had to now rebuild it. And the one on the right is a rubber plastic kind of a thing where you can easily squeeze and everything comes out. But you can see the difference between the two. The one on the left was the initial design that was used, that was sent to the market. So which means that when they were producing this, when they were testing the product, when they envisioned it, they never thought about how the user will use it. Or they never knew that this ketchup, it would be very difficult to flush them out. So until the product gets to the user, that is when they realize this thing is not good. And immediately they had to reproduce in another package. Now, sometimes there are times that you might experience situations like this when you're working on a product, whereby you probably would not even envision it. That is why you need to bring in people so that people would think for you. Now, as a UX person, it's not about negativity, but you have to identify every problem. It is just like like a cybersecurity expert. When a company wants to hire a cybersecurity expert, they hire them just for them to come and hack our software. Let's see if we have a loophole, if we have a glitch, if our platform can easily be accessed. They're trying to identify the problem so they can provide a good solution. So as a UX person, you really need to be very deep in your thinking, deep and creative in your thinking. So just so you can identify every single problems that you feel any user can ever come across. So now let's use let's say Jumia now wants to decide to start delivering. Okay, let me even go there. Okay, let me just say, let's say Jumia wants to start delivering products using drones. Now, drone delivery is actually quicker, so which means a user can get a product quickly. But now, if you now look at the Nigerian sector of this whole thing, where there is no light, and the only way you can monitor a drone, you need access to internet, a very strong internet. And then still considering people in the streets, anybody can steal the drone and the products. So putting all of this in, you have to like think of the negative side of of that idea. What if we are allowed to think deeply in that sense, just so we can ensure that we are eradicating every possible problems that the product may encounter, because it is our job. Now look at all these Jumia Foods and the likes. When Jumia Food started, they never thought about delivery guys eating and taking a bite out of the product. They never thought about it. It never occurred to them that things like that could ever happen. But when Glovo came, Glovo resolved it. How they were able to do it, we don't know. But they were actually able to resolve it, which is very brilliant. Very, very brilliant. So now this is another way to better explain UX. Can you see what I have on my screen? I believe by now we are beginning to understand. I'm a UX person fully. I do UI too, but most times when I'm working on a product that involves both UI and UX, I tend to spend time on the UX. Then I outsource. I have a team that I work with, so I outsource the whole UI design thing. And sometimes when those UI designers design it and it's so attractive, I'll feel like having it on my portfolio. But then I just like, I can't go and stress myself. I can't come and stress myself. So I do a lot of UX more than the UI, and I write codes. I'm a software engineer, but these days I only write on front end. Okay, UI and UX. UI, you can see, is visual elements like the pages, the buttons, and icons. And then UX, the overall experience. So it's not just about the design alone. It's about how those people really feel. Now look at this product generally. You can see how serious this is. You can see how very serious this is. It's a critical situation, in fact. Now, this kind of product now would have issues by the time it gets to the market, like really serious issues. And for the fact that someone had to use it and these things happened, who would want to use it again? Nobody. Just drop it and they just drop it and then they just abandon it, which does not really even. So that is why we have to really think. Now, yeah, I was going to say something as regard the products that get to the markets that has issues at the long run. Now, someone said I thought the class was 8:45. This is a new batch UI UX 45 class. This is another class entirely. The 8:45 will start 8:45. Okay, so yeah, I wanted to, this product that gets to the market and then they experience issues, this kind of product, they don't do usability testing. There is a need to test the products. Now, how do they do usability testing? For a physical product, there is always a sample of a need of a product. Even when you are trying to go into product, you're going to launching a product and putting a product in the market, and you want to order your product from China, you would want to ask them for sample. So when you ask them for sample, some people receive this sample and then they just take it in, like they just see it, oh, it's beautiful. They didn't actually really use it. And even you as the owner of the product, you can't use it. Now, I'll tell you why. It's your product and you want every possible ways of making sure that your product is successful. So even if you identify a problem there, you may or may not want to call it in. So that is why the best person in the right position to actually test your product are external people who don't even know you. So those are the people, that is where usability testing comes in place. You have to actually test the product by real people. They will test it and then they will feel what exactly is going on. So that at that point in time, there won't be a need to go and do mass production. You will easily fix any issue. Then you call for another sample again and you test it until it gets better. So that is what we do. We don't put this kind of product now. Let's say they were able to test it and resolve the issue. It would have been one of the most amazing things. It should not get to the market. Someone would have tried it this way and then realize, wow, this is what is happening. Then they will just quickly look for a way to resolve it. Even though they still want the cup to look like a cat, they will just find a way to make it much more better. I don't even know how they could fix this. I have no idea. I have no idea. So I think this is the end of our slide. Do we have any questions? So please let's ask questions. So as a designer, there are platforms that we would be using for our portfolio. This is a Behance, this is a Dribbble. These are the platforms where we upload all of our designs. You can see these are designs, provided you design anything you're designing, this platform is for you. So as a UI UX person, we use this platform to make all of our designs. So this is where we, not to upload, they serve as our portfolio platform. So if you want to share your work to people, this is the best platform. You just share the link of your own profile. So you open a Dribbble, DRIBBBLE. I'm going to drop it in the chat section. So in case you would like to visit and create an account, Dribbble and Behance. Where is our group? Okay. Dribbble and Behance. Yeah, so I sent the link to Behance and then I'm sending Dribbble. So these are the two platforms. You can use either of the two. You can focus on one particular one. It doesn't matter. You can just share links to people anytime you want to share. So I've sent the link to the website. So you can just open it, sign up with your Gmail, or you just create a new account. So this is the platform we use. You can see a lot of designs. Let's just search for what we actually do. That is a UI design. Yeah, I've sent it to the WhatsApp group. You should see both links. I sent both links to the WhatsApp group. Let me check UI design. So let me go to Dribbble, check UX. Then I'll come back to, both of them have their own limitations. Dribbble has a pro feature. So unlike Behance, you can upload as many design presentations as you want. But for Dribbble, you can only upload one design page, and that's it. If you want to upload more than one, you have to go for the pro version. So that is why this particular Behance, okay, let's look at this person's product. This particular Behance is the best for people. So at the beginning is Dribbble. Dribbble would only take this single product you're seeing. Let me open up. Okay, this is one product. Let's open this up. Or whenever you see people uploading more than one, why do they always want me to sign in all the time? I don't understand though. Look at this. This is a UI design of a mobile application. This is a UI design of a mobile application. Look at the typography, the fonts that was used, and then the color combinations that were used. And look at the entire screens of the designs. So these are the screens of the design. So this is how every single one of these designs. Can you start counting the numbers of screen that you're seeing? Yeah, that's the numbers of screens we will be designing if you're working on the product. Like you would really, really, really design these things. Look at. I don't even want to start counting. It's a lot. And that's it. I don't want to start counting. Let me try. We have four, I think you have four on each section. And then he actually scattered it. It almost looked like five. So let me say 5, 10, yeah, 15, 20, 25, 30. So let's say between 30 and 35 different screens. So you have to design every single one of them. And don't forget someone would have to code it too. So the developer will code it. So okay, I want to open up. I thought I opened up a single design right now. Okay, let me check another design. I want to check on Dribble. You said what? Don't be scared that. Don't be scared. It's actually very fun. And look at this person. This person has more than one upload. So definitely this is going to be a pro. Oh, it's not even more than one. It's one. Just one. And then they made it in form of they made it look interactive. So they recorded it and made it all look interactive. So you can see it's just one single thing they made it look interactive. Let's look for another one. And let's check on let's also check Behance and look for another design. Okay, there's another one. Let's check this one. No, I don't like this one, it's not fine. Let's check this mobile. This mobile is beautiful. Yeah, look at this. This is a website and a mobile app. I love this. This is a beautiful design. You see all these problem statement, possible solutions, possible solution, the project duration. You see problem statement, possible solutions, that the things that we do. Now, tools used. I don't believe this guy. He used Figma. We'll be using Figma for our own design. He used Photoshop. I'm trying to wonder. Well, okay, you could use Photoshop for the entire design presentation. Then Illustrator for what? Maybe this ones. Then the Miro. Yeah, you see this Miro and this Figma. Can you see where my cursor is? This first one and then the fourth one. The number 1 and number 4 are what we'll be using. Then we would use number 6 as well. For our own work, we use number 1. Instead of using Photoshop and Illustrator, this number 1 can do the things that this one, even at least to some extent, even if it won't produce every single thing. So these are design process, discover, define, ideate, design, and then test. Scope of work timeline is all of these things are part of the job that we'll be doing. Stakeholder interview, question design strategy, technology, competitive analysis. These are the things that we'll be working on. All of these still falls under competitive analysis, qualitative. But this portfolio is detailed, like really detailed. Look at all of the research. These are the things that we would work on. This is going to, so don't let me scare us is everything, because this guy's page is long. Hey, this is another design. This is all of these things are the things that we would work on as a designer in UX. UI designers are paid well. Both UI designers and UX designers are paid well, like well. Like, well, Medium is for article writing. If you are an article writer, Medium is best for you. If you write, Medium is the best place for you. So Medium is for writing, not for design. Maybe later when we go deeper into this thing, we'll come and visit this guy's profile. It's a lot of work. You see all those things that he did here. You see all those things. Yeah, you see all this. There are things that we would have to work on. All of these things. Don't worry. Don't get scared. You will get it. We'll get there. We're definitely getting there. So do we have any question? We'll be rounding up our class for today. So our next class is going to be on Saturday, where we'll get to talk more deeply in design. So I'm going to open up the chat section. You said overload. I don't understand. So I'll give access to unmute. So if we have any question. Yeah, so you can easily unmute now. If you have any questions, someone said something overload. I don't understand. There are certifications, but certifications are not required. Anything tech is all about your skill. What can you do? Then you have to show them what you can do, and that's it. And that is why we have all these platforms. So tech is all about what you can actually do, generally, what you can actually do. But if you feel you want to take certifications, there are some free internship, free certifications that I will talk to us about. By the time we go deeper into the entire thing, I will introduce you to the whole thing. I'll introduce you to every single one of them and the best thing. Yes, you have to. A lot of information on the first day. Yeah, so so one has to definitely we need to build a portfolio. So this platform, I think the best platform to use is Behance, because Behance will give you the opportunity to upload much more you want. So that's the best place. You just design and we upload, design and we upload, continue uploading like that. Okay. So I've sent the link to the Behance. You don't have to, you can just and create an account on the two platforms. So when we start designing and you realize your designs are dope, then just put it up. We have a community where we have a lot of problem solving session this night. So people have been trying to design, they've been encountering issues. They come to share their screen. So I'll probably not be sharing any screen with them. So all I will just do is to identify the issues that some of them are facing. It's going to be like a 1 hour session. So if you want to join, you are welcome. But I don't think you should join. So it should not look confusing to you. But it's going to be fun, really fun. Okay, so do we have any other question? We'll be rounding up the class for tonight. So the next slide, the next session, the next thing we'll be discussing, I don't know if I've sent it. Yeah, I've sent it. The one that has day 2 skills for UI UX designer. Then I would also be sending another, I would also be sending another slide for us to better understand. So do we have any other questions? I've given access to unmute, so we can unmute and ask questions. Please, let's ask questions. Any question? No question. Okay, let me say maybe because it's the first day, so maybe by the time we go into deeper practical, yeah. I've never thought about something. No, of course you can unmute. Just click on the mic. You should be able to unmute. I just give access now. Yeah, you should be able to unmute. Let me check again. Just click on it. You should be able to unmute. So try it. Did it work? I've scared you, and I didn't scare you. Don't worry, it's fun. It's fun. By the time you start seeing the whole thing, you just see that it's nonsense. Or you're just thinking. But I don't know why the mute thing. I don't know why it can't work. Okay, I'm coming. Let me manually do it for everyone. So you should see a notification that I give access to let you unmute. I think it's a network or an issue. Don't worry, don't be scared. Don't be scared because it's okay. Yeah. The question asked, the job of a product owner is more of being concerned about the product goals and the product vision. So the product owner would really be working, if a product owner will be working with the UI UX person, they will be working more in the UI, the UX part, just to ensure that everything that we're doing in terms of the product, the design must be connected to the product goals that we want to achieve. Now, for example, let's say like the e-commerce I was explaining that, let's say the goal is to actually given access to unmute, you should receive a notification. So let's say, for example, the goal is for the e-commerce now, the goal is to reduce fake products issue. That's the major goal. But then as a UX person, you went so deep in research that you start bringing in another new feature. The actual thing that we want to resolve, you didn't even see anything about it. So that is one of those things that we need to consider. So the product owner, their own specialty is just considering the product itself. That is the product goals, the vision of the product as the main reason why we had to start wanting to develop the product. That is how they work. So the UX person is the one that is sometimes the only time these things get difficult is when it's a different person. Like for example, let's say we have the same person doing both the UX and the UI. It gets very easy, even though it may be stressful. Or maybe we have like 3 to 4 different people that will handle both the UI and UX. But when the job is splitted, it becomes very difficult. But the only way to actually now resolve it is to make sure that the UI designer and the UX designer will be there during the very beginning down to the end. So that way they could follow through and better understand everything. So, okay, someone said, which is the best platform for design? No, Canva and Figma are not, no, they're not friendly. Canva is for normal visual designs, social media designs, flyer designs. You want to do videos, that is what. But Figma is for user interface designing. So they are different, like completely different. They don't serve the same. They don't serve the same purpose. So they're very different. And when we're talking about the best, by the time I introduce us to the software in our next class, I will talk about the best platforms for our UI and then our UX. We use different platforms. We're going to use different platform for UX. We're going to use different platform for UI. In fact, let me just drop it in the link in the WhatsApp group now. Do you have to be a subject matter expert before? No, you don't have to be. No, you don't have to be. The truth of the matter is everything as regard coming. Let me quickly type this. The tools to be used for UI. I want to quickly type it in the group so I won't forget. So I'll type it and then UI is a Figma, UX is Miro. Then I will drop the link to the two sites. So I'll better explain. You remember I was saying something that as a UX person, it's not about, it's really, why is the, oh, I made a mistake in this link. As a UX person, you don't really, it's a very necessary thing to have an experience in a skill, or in a sector. To have an experience in a sector. And but as a UX person, you are either a generalist or a specialist. So that when you say generalist, you have to focus on a particular sector. So is it e-commerce, then you have to stay in e-commerce. Is it banking, you have to stay. But if you're a generalist, you would tend to function in every sector, in every organization. Now, for a new person that is jumping into UX, it's best to be a generalist Now, the reason being that you are just starting up, you don't have the experience, you don't have the portfolio. Now you need to build upon it. So which means you are open to every product that comes at you. So later when you get better, that is when you now decide to specialize on a particular sector. So as a UX person, our job, you don't really have to be an expert as a UX person. All that matters is, if I want to talk about being an expert in UX design, I would consider research. You have to be really, really good on how to do research. And researching can be time consuming and sometimes you might get tired of it and all of that. But it's part of the things that you really, really have to consider. You have to be very, very good with research. Really good with research, because that is where you will get every single information that you want. And it's so amazing that you would even do every single one of your work online without even having to ask anybody physically. You communicate with a lot of people online. Would always be happy to talk to you because you're actually building something. So they will be happy to talk to you. Okay, do we have any other question? So I send the link to the two tools. I will still introduce us to several other tools that are out there, but the ones that we'll be using, I picked those tools because they are the industry standard. They're the most approved tools requested, because I checked several job opportunities and I always see that they always compulsory. So that is why I picked them. But as a UI UX person, once you have the skill, handling every other software tools is very easy. You would not have any issues. So I hope with this, I hope with this few, is software development, in software development, can a non-IT person function? Of course, definitely. But you're working in a team, you're working in a company, or maybe you're doing freelancing, provide whatever is going to make you do a UI UX job on a product. You know too well that the next thing that comes is the development of the job. That is where the software developer comes in place. So all that matters for the software developer is they want to see the prototype. That is the sample of the design, because that is what they would work with. And that's it. So, and the truth of the matter is, for UI UX thing, people used to say they are not really deep tech people. The truth is, they are not. Because if you are a technical person in terms of UX, it will be very difficult to solve a problem for the user. So UI UX people, they are not in the engineering team. They're in the design team. So design team are different from engineering team. Design people are more creative and the thinking ways is different. And then the engineering people are more logical and more technical. So it's a different team entirely. But all the software developers nowadays they now have all the developers nowadays, they now have the knowledge of UI UX so that they can better understand how to take those sample products and then start building up on it in the engineering section of it. So as a non-IT person, you can do great in UI UX. So gathering requirements, that's why you yeah. So everything as regard UI UX, you learn every single one of them. Then how can you build your portfolio while still learning? At the moment practical starts, I'll be sending in several tasks, like design tasks, few tasks that you can always work on. So once you work on it, we have a community that you share your work with. People will make comments. Once they make comments, then you improve on your designs. Once you improve on your designs, you can always start uploading. So even before the entire 3 month training ends, you would already grow a lot of portfolios. And what I do is when I see people's portfolio and I see that they are doing great, there are some kind of freelancing remote platforms that I usually share them with. Okay, just go and sign up on this platform, take their interview and the test assessment. Once you qualify, you start getting job notifications. And that is how amazing it is. Because like I said, when we started, like the goal is to ensure that we get 30 to 50 people a job every year, which is one of the most important parts of going into tech. And these skills are widely needed and they are never going to end. Only that the tools will change. And the more the tool change, we jump on it and learn it. Okay, someone asked another question. What job opportunities are out there for UX? Okay, you can remind me in our next class, I will show you some job platforms, even in Nigeria. There are a lot of jobs out there that are in UI, UX. A UX designer, they get paid over, this is outside Nigeria now, they get paid over $100,000 per year, not per month. They get paid over $100,000 per year. Then UI designer get between, I think between 70 to $80,000 per year. And then in Nigeria, we have I don't think we have UI designers. UI designers get paid between 250 to 300. UI UX combined, they get between that same range, sometimes more. Then product designers also get between close to 400, 500. So the range is between, the minimum is 250,000 there. And most of the job roles are remotely. So would someone with UI UX background do better? Yes, you will. You definitely will. Because by the time what I would advise is master UI UX very well, especially UI. So once you master UI, you 250,000 naira per month, not per year. About now, Nigeria was like that now. 200,000 naira per month. That's the minimum. Some get paid 300,000 naira per month. Some even get more than that. So what I would advise as regard front-end development is try and master UI UX, especially UI, very well. Then just start taking front-end development little by little. It will be very easy. Now imagine you design and then you code at the same time. Man, you're hot cake. You'll be really, really hot cake. It's so fun. So sometimes, though these days now, I don't really do my UI. I just do most of the UX. And but a situation whereby I have to do the UX, do the UI, and then code the front end. The client must pay me a lot of money. If they're not paying me a lot of money, I'll not do it though. Okay, as a Scrum, yeah, of course, definitely. Because if you practice Scrum development, you can either work as a Scrum Master or you get a job as a project manager. So if you get a job as a project manager or even a Scrum Master, you tend to work with these people, the UI UX people. You tend to work with them. So when you have a knowledge of UI UX and then you are a Scrum Master, it will be very easy to collaborate with them, especially the UX people. So it's very, very advantageous, like very, very advantageous. You might even become the the team lead because you understand what they do and you understand every single one of it. So what made me become more proficient in UX is because of the already existing programming skill that I had, and then a little bit of the design. So I already understood what it's like to actually build a product and what it's like to actually build a product for the user. Now, building a product in the user's end and then in the technical end, which involves the development of the product. So combining Scrum and then UI UX is very, very, they will pay you well. They really would pay you well. Okay, any other question? So I believe with these few points of mine, I hope I've not been able to. I hope I've been able to convince you and not confuse you that UI UX is very fun.
So do I see?
I know. No, I don't like that. You know, our class is recorded. So do we have any other question? Any question? Okay, so I think we can put a pause on our class. I already received notification on the second class. the next few minutes now. Yeah, thank you. It's been very insightful. You are most welcome. You're most welcome. So by the time we jump into practical, it gets very much more interesting. There is a lot of work to be done, definitely, like a lot. But the truth of the matter is, the more you practice, the better and the expert you become. The more you practice, the better you become. Like really good that you become. You practice it and you become great at it. So when you now, that is why I said it's very necessary that you become a generalist. When you, of course, you can join the other class. Just can drop me a DM. I'll just send you the links to join the other class. The class is going to be more of a problem-solving thing. So people who have questions or they are trying to do a practical work, they experience challenges. So basically, that is what it's all about. So I'll just show them what they need to pick up on. So of course, you can join the class. If you're interested, I'll just send me a DM or WhatsApp. I'll send you the link. The class starts 8:45. Okay, so what was I saying? So the more you practice as a generalist, when you try different sector, you have a lot of larger knowledge. You better understand how every single one of this product works out there. Okay, so thank you very much for tonight. If you would